still knows how to cook. I've been doing most of the cooking. Um,
We had approximately a 60% down.
G'day there, Sonia. With that news report.
Sonia's news report. Oh dear.
Alrighty.
Dr. Sawyer.
Welcome.
Uh, yeah. So,
Alright.
John, what's your understanding of Diane's question? So, Diane Wither, um, wave Diane. So, there's little Diane. Diane this week has written in a letter to the Leyland brothers, and we're going to answer it. Um, some people may not know what that means, John, including you, so forget
Yeah,
it.
I've got no clue.
Just call me Mike, and I can call you Mel, and we'll be okay.
Well, but what if I don't want to be Mal?
Yeah. Anyhow, sorry. Yeah. So, did you get Diane's email?
I did, yeah. So Di was asking, and it was a very good question about why it is that when we play the blues, we use our major chords, but we're playing a scale that's built off the minor scale. Because as a general rule, that shouldn't really work. Usually, if you play the wrong kind of scale over the top of the wrong kind of chord, it's going to sound really iffy. Um, and that's definitely the case if you are playing minor chords and play the parallel major scale over the top. But blues is just sort of this exception where
Sorry, you use the term parallel major chords. So, give us an example. So,
Sorry, yes. So when I say a parallel major or a parallel minor, it means that they have the same name. So D major and D minor are parallel to each other. That's so hopefully that sort of explains
yeah.
that.
Hmm.
Yeah, they just have the same name. So yeah, generally, playing a D minor over a D major chord pattern wouldn't work because they have completely different notes. But blues is this weird exception where, for some reason, the dissonance that comes from it is actually sort of what makes it what it is. So yeah, it's totally right to use the minor scale over the major chords in the context of blues. There's just something about it that makes it right.
So,
Um,
John, I up at the Bay before Diane and Alita came to the Bay. Um, there were like this is probably like 8 years ago or something. There was a music teacher. She was an old music teacher from the Bay Area, and she explained it in this way. She said, like, all the Africans who were in the fields and they were moaning away in the cotton fields sort of stuff and playing their traditional music, which is often based on the on single notes or the pentatonic scale, um, and they were developing. That was the beginning of the blues and blues sound and like moaning, mournful, minor sounds. And over decades, then over the centuries, um, it's evolved into a genre that's an acceptable genre. Um, and she said that it was Dvorak, the composer Dvorak, who,
yeah.
who legitimized it. He came from Hungary, and he came in like at the turn of the 19th into the 20th century, somewhere around there, or 1910 or 1920 or something. And he came and was a composer, a famed composer in New York. And he said to the Americans, "This music is the music of this land, uh, and of this century. That this is the new music." And that's why he wrote the New World Symphony out of that as well. Yeah, Lee, you know about that stuff. And so before that, all the Carnegie Hall people would go, "Oh, that Negro music," and then he legitimated it, and so it became a really trendy thing. So what are the biggest festivals that happen these days? They're blues and roots festivals. And it's only because we have somehow come to appreciate this dissonance over the major chords. So we play the minor blues scale, a D minor blues over a D major chord progression. Is that right, John?
Yeah, that sounds like a really good explanation.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
does that answer your question, Diane?
Mm.
Yeah, but can I just start? Would it be? Could you still also play an? You couldn't play. Could you play John an A minor blues over the D major as well or not? No, no.
Uh,
Hang on. Got to think about this. B major one, B minor would be B
a
minor.
B minor over a D blues.
Yeah, over a D. Yeah, B
Well,
minor blues.
you couldn't play a B minor blues, but that actually leads into what we're learning about today.
Well
So,
done, Diane. We'll send you the check.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you. Right. Oh, I'll just go back and shut up. Well, thank you, Royce. I did understand it. Thank you.
that's right. Well, works very well. Yeah, but no, that's a great question. Because it is a super interesting thing. Like, technically, blues should be wrong, and yet somehow it isn't. Just because of this really interesting history surrounding it, and I mean, thank goodness for that.
And I just reviewed a bunch of homework, and which is really important for us to give you good feedback. Um, and I'm a bit joking sometimes, but there's always some meaning behind it. And I can't remember who I put it on. It was Pip's, I think. I said, Pip, put a bit of stank into it. And, and I found some stank face images, which is, which goes with the where you go, that's stank, right? And I noticed that some people were. I'm just doing a little bit more on the homework stuff. Is when people do put life into a note, which I think I commented on Alita's, then I find that really satisfying, and that sort of comes out. That's why they're going, oh yeah, that feels really good, And so you're putting life into the fingers, but it's almost like the face. I don't care about the face, but it's almost like what you're feeling in your face is expressed into your fingers. As long as it's getting out of your body and into your fingers, then that's also what the blues is about. Yeah.
Nice.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that was good.
John, what were the finger drills? How do you do the finger drills?
Do you mean the?
It just says do the finger drills, but it doesn't say how to do them.
I think that's the ones we were doing there.
Yes, it was. I remember that, John.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, the finger drills were you line up your fingers all in a row and practice doing hammer-ons and pull-offs with them. And then you can change the order as well. You can go stuff like that and just mess around with it on all the strings. All right. So yeah, that's sort of the stuff with the blues. Nice work on the homework for the most part, everybody. It was really good. Most of you got the idea of call and response, which is great. I think I said you could do other homework, but I forget what I said it was last time. So no, it doesn't matter. I think most people went with the other stuff anyway. But yes, so we're gonna jump into some new, a little bit trickier ideas, but really useful ones today. And so we'll talk about what Di was asking about just now. Actually, she said, "Can you use the B minor over the D major scale?" And sorry, over the D major chords is what I mean. And yeah, that's actually exactly what we're talking about here. When you learn these scale shapes, e.g., when you're in D, it's very easy to sort of get stuck in that position in the D major scale shape. There's so much you can do in that shape, but there does come a point where you want to find a way to move away from that. And so one option we found that's really, really useful, especially when you're starting to solo up high, when you've got keys that naturally are up higher on the fretboard, you can actually use the scale of the relative minor in that key. So what I mean by that is every major scale has a relative minor scale, which is a minor scale that has exactly the same notes in it. E.g., in C, obviously you've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and its relative minor scale is A minor. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Does that sort of make sense? They're all just exactly the same notes. You're just starting in a different place, basically. And that means you call it, if you start on C, it's a C major scale. If you start on A, it's an A minor scale.
So you have used two terms now. So you've said the relative minor of the key, I guess. So C major, and the relative minor is A minor, and they're the same notes. The
Yes.
term you used before was a parallel minor or a parallel major, and they're not really related at all, are they? Like they
Not
just
really related by name and
only.
tonic note only. Yeah.
Yes.
If you're in C, the relative minor of C is A minor, and if you're in C, the parallel minor is C minor. They've got the same name, but that doesn't really come into play unless you're playing in the blues. So yeah, this method.
What about
Oh, sorry.
this? Sorry, what about raising the seventh?
Sorry, what was that?
What about raising the seventh in the minor scale?
That would give you a harmonic minor scale, which I don't think we're really talking about in this course, but we do start to learn about that a bit later.
Can I say something there?
Of course, yeah.
I learnt piano for years and years, and do you know what? I never, until I picked up ukulele, which I hope answers your question, Lee, is that I never knew a thing called a natural minor scale existed. So
They never teach you that on piano. It's so
No,
weird, isn't it?
that's me too, Di. I learnt the piano.
I did a bit of research when Mark confused me one day, and no, he didn't. And so there's, I didn't realise there was a natural minor scale. Then there's, as you would now know, the harmonic and melodic. The scale that John's talking about and what we base all this on, I've learnt now, is the natural minor, which is the minor played exactly as the same key signature as the major scale. Sorry to interrupt, but I thought,
That's okay.
cause of ukulele, I now know that.
That's right. That's a really good point, Di. Yeah, there are lots of different minor scales, and we, for this first course, we are only focusing on the natural minor because it's kind of at this point going to be the most useful to you, I think. Excuse me, I've got very phlegmy throat for some reason. But yeah, so it's really useful to you because it's exactly the same notes as the major scale, but it's in a different position. Yeah, so you can kind of expand the areas you can use on your fretboard, and you don't have to learn every note. Then you can just base it off these two different scale shapes that you know. So it's sort of another little shortcut to help you be able to move around more without having to totally memorize the fretboard of the uke. So the first step is kind of to figure out what the relative minor is of any given key and how you get to it from the major scale. If you want a really quick shortcut on figuring out the relative minor, pull up your circle of fifths and if you look at the outer ring, that's your major chords, and if you go to the very inner ring of it, those are all the relative minors, all lined up nicely for you. So if you have C, then you can just as easily play the A minor scale in the key of C major. If you're in the key of G, you could play an E minor scale. In the key of F, you could play a D minor scale. All of those around there will work the same. But some keys on ukulele tend to lend themselves better to this sort of thing. Because the trick is that the relative minor in the scale is always a certain number of steps away. So like the way I think of it, if you're in the key of C, you go back 2 in the scale, and that's where your relative minor is going to be. So you go C, B, A, and there's the relative minor. Or if you're in the key of F, you go back 2, F, E, D, and D minor. Is that still sort of making sense? Yeah? So the reason I bring that up is you can visualize it on the fretboard. F is probably the easiest place to do it. If I go F, E, D, then I can find where my relative minor scale is going to start. It's always going to be 3 frets below the major scale. So I can do my F scale here, up on the 5th fret, and then if I want to go to D minor, I can just go 1, 2, 3, 4, da, 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 da. And so that distance will always be the same wherever you are. I could do it in G. And that's where the E minor scale is if you jump back that far. So is that making sense to everybody? It's a bit of a tricky idea, so if it's not, I can try and explain it in a different way.
John, we're wondering, we haven't spoken about where you want to do breakout groups.
Yes.
Do you have any plans for this, or Jane thought that this was a good spot to do it? With this,
I was actually hoping we could maybe do it on the 3-finger rhythm stuff.
Yep, it's his class. Let him do it.
Okay. Yep. All right.
Sweet. Because I want to see what everyone does with that when we break out. So yeah, the reason I'm telling you all this, partly because it helps you expand on the notes you can play in the fretboard. You know, if you're stuck in F major, now you have this whole other scale that you can use in the same song. The other reason I'm telling you this is because, especially when you start to get up high, for example, if you're in A major, the only option you have for your scale shape is all the way up there on the 9th fret, and so it's often much easier to just use the relative minor, which is F sharp minor. Because it's all the same notes, so you can just play it a little bit lower with that new shape.
Sorry, John. So that's 3 semitones then, because you went from
Yeah, 3 semitones.
3 semitones down.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's exactly right. So you just go 3 semitones down, and that's where the relative minor scale will start. Yeah, Marion.
Yep. Would you use the major pentatonic scale and the minor pentatonic scale? We wouldn't necessarily use all the notes, I guess. Would you?
Only if you wanted to. I mean, the idea with the pentatonic scales is that you're more likely to get notes that sound good when you use those, because it gets rid of the problem notes. But as you get more and more experience, you'll want to start using more notes, and so you can kind of just pick and choose whichever you want to do there, be it pentatonic or just normal major or minor. Yeah. Now, the other thing to consider with this stuff, and then we'll start to play it, is you want to start to think about how do you get between the two scales? So that's just, I want you to think about that, and we're going to play one, and then I'll talk a bit more about it after we play a song.
And can I make a comment?
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
the whole you want to practice your scales. You want to practice those. Uh, you want your fingers to practice them, but you also want your ear to practice it. So to know that. And then to do a minor, well, to do the A minor, you want to hear that the notes are right. You want your ear to recognize them and to go, oh, that's wrong, that's wrong. So, and then you get your ear in tune for every key. So when John said and Vanessa said A was so hard to improvise on for Homecoming Queen because it's so high up, and then John's just given us a little shortcut to say F sharp minor. So you start to hear that key of A, and then your fingers will hopefully, if it's got the shortcut, then your fingers and your ear will collaborate to give you the right notes.
That's really good, yeah. Your ear is such a vital part of your soloing. You know, it's so much easier to solo if you can hear what's right and what's wrong, rather than just making sure you play the right notes. If you can hear it, then that's, I think, one of the best ways of learning.
And for Vanessa as well, Vanessa is learning the bass. All of this stuff is like the positioning is different on the bass, but it's still like the ear and the technique of placing your fingers down and hearing the scales. That's all really important for the bass. Even though you start out a very basic level with the bass, then getting between them, the scales will really help you.
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to play I'm on Fire, because that's in the key of F. As I said, it's kind of easier to use this technique on things that are higher up on the fretboard, because as soon as you go past E flat, you can't do it on the C string anymore. You have to go down to the low G if you have that. So yeah, generally these techniques are best if the scale starts above the 3rd fret. Otherwise you have to learn whole new scale shapes for the minor key, which is just a whole other can of worms, which is not for this course. Alright, so I'm going to share my screen. Oops. Try again, because I need to share the sound. And then here's I'm on Fire.
1, 2.
Can everyone hear that?
1, 2, 3, and
Hey little girl, it's
Awesome. So we'll start from the beginning and make sure you're soloing using F major pentatonic or major scale and D minor pentatonic or D minor. Okay, best of luck. Here we go.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and
Hey little girl, is your daddy home? Did he go and leave you all alone? I got a bad desire. Ooh, I'm on fire. Tell me now, baby, is he good to you? Does he do the other things that I do? I can take you higher. Ooh, I'm on fire. It's like someone took a bite, baby, edgy and dull, and cut a 6-inch belly through the middle of my soul. At night I wake up with the sheets soaking wet and a freight train running through the middle of my head. You cool my desire. Ooh, I'm on fire. sometimes it's like someone took a knife, baby, itchy and dull, and cut a 6-inch valley through the middle of my soul. And I wake up with the sheets soaking wet and a freight train running through the middle of my head. You cool my desire. Ooh, I'm on fire. Ooh, I'm on fire. Ooh, I'm on fire.
Lovely. All right, report back to me. How did you go with that one? Yay, nay, sort of. Some people not so good. A lot of just okays, but some goods, which is great. Anyone want to report back with words?
Sonia, what
how'd
was
you
your
find
big
it?
thumbs down?
I just didn't know all the scales, and I don't know the song well enough to make the changes. So I sort of floundered all the way through. Anyway,
All right.
That's
Yeah.
all right. That is a big part of it. Making sure you know the scales, I suppose. Trish, yes.
Have we got, so I don't think I've got all the scales. Did you provide them to us?
So we've provided you with the D major scale and the D minor scale.
Yep.
Yeah,
I've got those.
and because those shapes are closed shapes, they don't use any open strings. To play every other scale, you just slide it up and down. So it's
You
exactly.
just
the
need to
same
find
shape.
your starting note, Trish. So
Okay. So I've just got to find an F and go from there.
yeah, the F is on the fifth
Yeah.
fret of the C string. So
Okay.
and so that's a crossover. You got to cross reference with that.
Yeah.
With all the notes on the fretboard.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes.
Question. Very, very, very dumb question. Is
Yes.
the minor scale the same as the minor pentatonic scale?
It's not the same, but it's
Well,
the
I don't
same.
have a minor then.
Oh.
Well, that's all right, because just like how the major pentatonic takes the best bits of the major scale, the minor pentatonic takes the best bits of the minor scale, at least for this context. So, yeah, do we have a minor scale, like a natural minor scale sheet? I actually don't know if
I
we do.
don't think we did write that out. But how could
Yeah,
we?
we have it written out, they haven't got it.
Oh, you haven't got it, James. James
Right.
really
We
chipping
haven't
it.
given it to you. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So, but how could you figure it out, Pip? Come on, we can do this. If you want to play an A natural minor scale,
Yeah.
would that not be the C major scale? Pretty much, it'd be the same as the C major scale, except starting on A. Is that right, John? Am I correct with that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
if you
minor
play the
one.
C major scale,
Yeah.
that is the same as an A minor scale. A natural minor scale.
And I just started on the 6th fret. No?
Oh, the
Of the what?
The ukulele.
you start it. So you'd start it on the A
Ninth.
note.
Ninth. Sorry, the ninth.
Oh yes, no,
So
true,
you
yes.
play the regular C scale on the where the A position is, which is the 9th bar fret.
Not quite, because you don't play the C. You don't play the C scale shape.
No. Yes.
You play all the notes from the C scale. So, e.g., if you've got a low G, you can start on the A down here on the 2nd fret and go. You can see I'm just using the normal
Yep.
C major scale there.
Yeah.
But because I'm starting on A, it makes it an A minor scale.
And it doesn't sound any like really to a untrained ear. It doesn't sound anything like a C major scale because you started on the wrong note. But it
Yeah,
is
my head
it
was
is
thinking
still the
that-
same notes.
My words weren't coming out correctly. That's what I was hoping. I think. All right.
Okay.
Bye. See ya.
Nice work, Pip. We all got there in the end. Yeah, so Phoebe, yes. Sorry, what would you like to say?
Sorry, I just wanted to ask, were we supposed to be noodling on the F, or I thought I heard someone say, sorry, because I came in late, that we go between the F and the D minor? Is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's what you want to be doing. Yeah, so it's all about the relative major and minor. So wherever you are on the fretboard, if you play the major scale, say on the 5th fret, you jump back 3 semitones and do the minor scale, and it'll be all the same notes.
Now, Alita's said in the chat that, which you said right at the very beginning 4 weeks ago, John, that the pentatonic scrubs out 2 notes that are potentially the most traumatic notes. That's the B and the F in the C. In the C scale. So that the pentatonic is the insurance, as Alita has termed it, against playing anything bad in a diatonic song, in a song that is just in the normal key. Is that what you meant, Alita?
Very nice. Jess, did I see you had a question as well, or?
I am theoretically with you and ukulele completely lost.
Right.
So I'm understanding everything that is said until I try and actually play it, because I don't have minor pentatonic or minor scale or major diatonic under my fingers.
Right, sure.
So, yeah.
Well, it sounds to me like that's like probably what you want to spend some time practicing then, potentially just getting those under your fingers so that you can, because I know you've got the theory knowledge. I guess it's just that applying it to the instrument in particular. I'm sure you can do fine.
Can you play the riffs from My Girl?
Yes.
Well, that's your mate, and can you do all 4? So that's the F one up there, and then when it changes key, you go to the D.
Yeah, because that's all the same patterns, just different starting points, right?
So you've got it. They're the major pentatonics. You've got it. And Sunny Moon for 2, you could play that anywhere on the fretboard and you'd be changing key. I mean, we do it in D, and that's the minor pentatonic, the pattern, which is why we do those songs, because it's an enjoyable way to learn the patterns.
So going down to the D minor, I need to do the Sunny Moon patterns. Okay.
Yeah. It's just the Sunny Moon notes. Like, you don't necessarily have to do the actual pattern of the song, obviously, but you do that pattern of notes.
Cool.
Nice.
It sounds like it's practice for us, Jess.
A ukenick. I recommend you're having a ukenick. Copyrighted to Alita Huffnance, that name, which is a picnic with ukuleles.
All right. So I wanted to do a quick talk as well about getting between the 2 scales, and then we'll have another crack at it as well. We'll do it in a different key. So when I'm playing, I mean, how did everyone go, like, with changing between the 2 scales? The people who felt they did all right, did you find it pretty smooth, or was it still a bit like clunky trying to get between all? Yeah,
it was a bit clunky, but it didn't quite sound, it didn't feel like all of the notes sort of gelled as well with the song as perhaps when you just focus on the one set, and maybe that's because my fingers didn't hit the strings properly.
It's also partly because, like, the more you play, the more you start to hear which notes tend to work best. Like, the pentatonic scale means it works most of the time, but then it's not always gonna sound exactly how you want it to, and that's just like an experience thing, I think. But yeah, in terms of actually getting between the scales, you want to think about like the connective tissue, I guess, on each string, e.g. like what notes in both the scales are the same, like on the same fret as each other. That's what I tend to think about. So like it's, you can move really smoothly on the C string, because you've got that F, which is part of the D minor scale, and then of course also part of the F major scale. Then and that's like the easiest place to start, but then also you want to start thinking about, well, you've got that A note on the 5th fret that's part of the D minor, but then also part of the F major, and same here with that D on the 5th fret. So you want to find those crossover points, because that'll really help you with getting between the two scales and making them sound like one scale, because that's really what they are in essence. You're just extending one scale outwards in another direction, because as I said, it's all the same notes. We can theoretically think of them as the two different shapes, but really if the song's in the key of F major, you're just doing an F major scale with some extra notes on the bottom. The different shape is almost a way to help you obviously extend the range, but also think in different shapes and give you some new ideas. So yeah, that's sort of some other helpful tips about that. But let's do it in A now. We're gonna do Homecoming Queen, and yeah.
I just want to check in with Marion. Marion, this is what you were referring to in my comments on your homework from last week. So yeah, I think, and look, I've never done this stuff, John. And for me, that description of the connective tissue was really quite nice.
Oh, good. Well,
It's a nice metaphor.
I hope that did help some people there. Yeah, so in A, what fret do we start on for an A major scale? It's hard to show with fingers. You want to be up on the 9th fret, that's it. So you all know the major pentatonic, but we're starting all the way up here on the 9th fret, and then you end up on the 12th fret. And of course that's always a bit of a pain. So what you can do is take that shape and shift it back 3 semitones to the 6th fret, where you can play the minor pentatonic in an F sharp minor. With this one, try and swap between, but I don't mind so much. Like with this one, you can, you want to do what your ukulele is capable of, basically. And for some of you, it might be harder to go up high with the A major scale. And so, yeah, just do what you think sounds good. But yeah, see if you can get between those two shapes, because it should be cool. Alright, I'm gonna share my screen again and play that for you. That can go away. Homecoming Queen.
1, 2, 3.
Everyone all good? You can hear that? stop it there because it's been going on a while and it's got another like 2 minutes to go. Any reports there? How'd you find that one?
I think that one was easier because I knew it better, and we've been playing it more recently in Nuke.
That's true. It is always helpful to know the song because you can more easily match up those notes that you know work. So yeah, that is a good point. And I saw some people sort of rubbing their hands and stuff as well. It can get a little crampy up there, I must admit. Yeah, well,
it's kind of hard. I found it a little harder to get, like you've got the fret spaces are a little further apart, lower down on the neck, aren't they? And so you then got the crampier ones up high. So that took a bit of getting used to.
Totally, yeah. Well, it's all part of getting to know your instrument in a sense, and starting to learn. There are different techniques, I guess, and different ways to make the higher notes sound good because the physicality of playing them is quite different. But that'll be different for every uke. You just have to spend time up there and see what works, basically.
You can also more easily make it sound bad up there too, can't you?
That's very true.
I can't do any of it tonight. I don't get any of it. It's too hard.
You came in late, so potentially you missed some of the intro stuff, Jen.
I can't do it without the notes in front of me. Like I think where the lady's done before. I can't do it with else in front of me because I just can't figure it out. Like I know that it'll be F sharp. Would it be F sharp minor that goes with A major or something?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
But because I don't know F sharp minor, I don't know how to do it. So.
Okay, so we said before that you do know. So Sunny Moon for 2 is a way to learn and enjoy the minor pentatonic scale, and we do that in D, which is starting. So we know that because we started on the 2nd fret. But
yeah.
And if you find the starting note of F sharp and do the same pattern, then that's an F sharp minor pentatonic.
And what I found really helpful in the last two bits was going back and going 2 4 2 5 2 5 is my major, and whatever the other one is, 0 3 no, not the C, the D, 2 5 3 5 3 5. If I've got those written down in front of me, and then I can just go back to that fret. Okay, 2 2 5. That I think has helped me in the last.
But what you need to do is make that fingers instead of frets.
Yeah.
That's really imperative, because then you can translate it up and down.
Yeah.
So what I really enjoyed what John said was that even though I might be repeating the same notes of physically they're the same notes, but my fingers are playing different positions when I switch between the minor pentatonic and the relative major pentatonic. So I'm doing different finger patterns in different spots. Yeah, Pip, that's very nice hand raise.
So you know how we were floating between the 9th fret and down to the 6th fret? Do you change in the middle of the song, or do you just like once you've committed to one you stay up in one, or what do you do?
It's all about how you feel, Pip.
Okay.
Yeah, it's where you change is dependent on what notes you want to go to, basically. When I'm up here in A, there you go, that's better. I shift down there when the notes call for it, like when I think the melody should, and I will go back up again when I think it calls for it again. It's just about how you feel and where you want your melody to go.
Okay, cheers.
We're talking relative, major and minors, but if you're using the pentatonic, it's actually just the same 5 notes.
It is. Totally. Yeah. I mean, it's the same 5 notes when they're just normal relative as well.
It's just how it works for you to think about it, I guess.
Totally, yeah. But yeah, you're right. It is literally just the same 5 notes in a different place.
And moving your fingers around to do the different patterns introduces new possibilities. To take an extreme example, I'm a left-hander, but often there's not a left-handed guitar around, and I'll pick up a right-handed guitar, and because I have to do different shapes, I get different ideas playing upside down. and so just going between the minor pentatonic shape or the relative major pentatonic shape, it gives you different opportunities to have different ideas of what you can put in your solo.
Yeah, no, it's all just little bits basically. You know, you learn little things, and you take the bits that you get, and when you don't get them, you know, you'll eventually find them again, and maybe by then your understanding of stuff will sort of like be at a point, or your skill level with the uke will be at a point where it actually melds into your brain better. As that's just the musical journey, basically. So yeah, if there's any more questions about this stuff, let me know now. Otherwise, we'll probably think about breaking out into the next part of it. All right. Okay, so the next bit of this session, and nice work with that bit, by the way. Those are some hard ideas. The next bit of this session is like a rhythm focus, and so we're going to do some drills concerning rhythm, and so that's sort of to do with like your syncopation, and that sort of stuff, but also just to do with your rhythm generally, and to sort of help you break out of the plotty bum 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 bum, you know, on every beat. And so the exercise that we do is, well, first of all, there's like one you can follow along, which is the one that, if you look at the websites, there's the Sam LeMan video where he goes through the blues shuffle in A, and there's also I think there's a sheet for that somewhere. Can't see it on here, which is annoying. Yeah, there's a sheet that actually has the notation all spread out for you there, so you can play along with that and practice on you know, doing all these different rhythms.
Is
so
that
that's what
3-note blues practice?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah,
James
and so that
went up quite late. Is that right?
maybe, I'm not sure. I maybe I need to refresh the page or something.
Because I was so late, I can find it.
Oh right,
But I couldn't find it this afternoon.
Yeah, so there is that one you can do. I don't think we'll do it in this session today. It's more of a reedy sort of thing, but I want you guys to come up with some ideas on your own, I guess. Sam's one is great because it'll teach you some rhythms and, you know, orders for notes that you mightn't have thought of. But what we're going to do today instead is we're going to break out and we're going to play around on the blues scale, but we're only going to pick 3 notes out of the blues scale. So you have to pick 3 notes, and those are the only ones you can play for your whole solo. And then you just have to mess around on those 3 notes, and then it sort of forces you to make it interesting by changing the rhythm instead. Does that sort of make sense? So an example of that might be, I could pick if we do it in D, I might
Are you going to join us, Jane?
I might pick those 3 notes,
Sorry.
and then I could go. You know, that sort of thing. Obviously it gets a little boring after a while, but you can see that I have to really think about what I'm doing rhythmically to actually make that fun for you guys to listen to, or for an audience to listen to.
So how were you going to do the breakout? Are we going to practice it together first while you play something, and then we'll go to breakout groups so we can listen to them?
I was just going to go straight into breakout groups, but we can do. Do you guys want to do it all together first, just so you can have a practice before we watch you do it?
I think people should practice it before we go into the break, because then it's going to be public.
True. Okay then. Well, I won't bother finding a backing track. I'll just play for you. We'll do it in D minor, and yeah. So just pick any 3 notes out of the D blues scale. Some notes you're gonna struggle with more than others. Because some notes tend to work better with it, but a safe bet is always to have a D in there, so it's a real fun challenge if you don't want to put a D in there. The other thing it really forces you to do, that I was just thinking about now, is you can do so much with your expressive techniques as well. I was doing lots of little hammer-ons and bendy things. When we were doing that before, you can really, it really forces you to experiment with that sort of stuff by taking the notes out of the equation. And the last thing I want to say about it before we do it is, this is not one of those things you'd necessarily do in an actual solo, but my hope is that it will give you ideas you can use in a solo. New rhythmic ideas, or just ideas for moving between those notes in particular. Okay, has everyone got their 3 notes that they're gonna use? Yep. Seeing some thumbs up. Excellent. All right, I'll play you some blues background music, and you just have at it. All right, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, that work out okay, everybody? Feeling a little bit sort of confident with it now? Excellent. Let's break out and we'll listen to you. Oh, thanks, Mark. Alright, join your room and we'll go through all that together.
Huh?
C or D?
I don't know. Can't
In
remember.
the key of D.
Oh, thank you, John. So some people aren't assigned. You're staying with me. Jane is assigned to Jane. Peter, you've got to go and you can go join your group.
The other one doesn't have a cradle for it.
Oh, it's there on the piano, on the corner of the piano. Oh, here's this one.
Yeah, just give me that. Now, I've got to get into my breakout room now.
Yeah, I've assigned you. Okay, guys, hello. You can unmute for the moment. Good. Now, this is the point. So I'm doing some matchmaking here that Jen, just by what was spoken about, Phoebe, Jess, that some people may choose to picnic in a park when you're allowed to come out of Sydney, Jen, and you can come up and go to a orchestra and maybe do a bit of private gathering with some others. So how did you go with this? I didn't listen to the instructions because I was doing the breakout. What was the instructions? Trish, you're unmuted.
To use the D minor pentatonic.
Yep.
With just 3 notes.
Yep.
And
Okay.
try and make it rhythmic because we've only got 3 notes.
And did everybody understand that? Yep. Great. So I want you, Caroline, you're the only person not nodding. Thank you, Caroline. So Trish, do you want to go first, please, so we can hear what you're going to do, and just do it. And I need you to groove. I need you to I need you to feel it as well. So this is also enabling you to be more expressive because you've got far more you've got limited options. I'm just going to go shut the door. So where you go, Trish?
All right.
So okay. Now, Trish, maybe try not to be so busy. You're also probably not got original sound on, but
Oh, I didn't. Sorry.
you can select it, can you?
Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, and just yeah, that's it. That's
Whoops.
okay. That'll do. Thank you. I just want to hear. I want to hear a committed small phrase, which is possibly a shorter part of a sentence. And so maybe more meaning is going to come out of. So what you were doing was, and I'm just slowing it down a bit. And here I'm cutting off the last note, and this one I'm hanging on to, and I'm giving you a bit of a wobble. So that's the sort of commitment, you've got to commit to the idea of every note. What?
I was trying to do wobbles, but it doesn't necessarily work for me. And I know I think part of my problem is that my brain and my fingers just don't seem to be connected a lot of the time.
Well, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I find it, and I know that's going to come with practice.
So we could also get some assistance. Vanessa is a doctor and Phoebe's a psychologist, and maybe they could do some sort of functional surgery on you, or to connect your brain and your fingers.
First, Mark, think first.
Patience and time.
Okay, thanks, Trish. So Vanessa, do you want to go next?
Sure. I have not a blues bone in my body, so it's really hard just to do that whilst pretending that there's blues playing in the background, but I'll give it a go.
All right, you've got the hair. Flick the hair.
Make sure I got the right notes too. It's probably even more important. Anyway.
But look, you've only got 3 notes, so look at that sheet, and then do not look at it. Have you heard me say there's 3 steps in this? One is you look at the sheet to find where your fingers should be. The second one, what people do is they look at their fingers, and then the third one is that they look.
They don't look at anything.
They look inside themselves. Just call me Yoda.
I'm gonna look at my fingers.
Okay.
I really can't do it without music in the background, but anyway. Yeah, I got.
Keep going.
Keep going. In the background. Anyway.
Okay, what I find with that sort of phrase, what I find is you're sliding, but it's more precise to do a hammer on in that situation or a pull off. So I can anchor my finger on the 3rd fret. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Just give that a go. Yeah, you initially started that on the G string, on the G note, the 3rd fret of the E string.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I only played that one and that one.
Yeah, but you were starting there on that. So, but if you do that, you don't have to move your finger off. Like,
Yeah.
see, my finger's still there.
Oh, I see.
Yep. And practice that hammer and pull off. That's cool. Yep. Yeah, or double. That's double stop. That's great. Thank you. Caroline, could I get you to have a go, please? Caroline, it's a very small number of supportive people.
Come on, Caroline.
Otherwise, I will get you on stage next Thursday
Channel your inner blues.
at the Carrington Bolo to do a solo. And I'll get Will to escort you up to the stage. So just tell us what you know or what you want to do there.
So, what am I doing? So using the D minor pentatonic scale.
Yeah, but only 3 notes of it. So you're only allowed to use 3 notes.
Yep, but I can't really do anything.
You just did. You just did something.
I accidentally...
What's your...
I can't make my fingers do what I want them to do, and I haven't got enough notes to use.
You haven't got enough notes to use. This is why we are restricting you to 3 notes. And you are doing it. The greatest deficiency you have is your own self-confidence around it.
I know.
Because you went, I can't do this. Or yeah, I can't do that. And then you're doing it. So that was, I could actually get a sense of your confidence with the technique there, Caroline. So do it. Could you do it again for me, please? Because that's really cool.
No, I think it'd be better if we hear from someone else. But I'm happy to send you one video of myself because you might notice I've not posted anything for homework. You may not have noticed, but I've just confessed since this is the last lesson and I can just end this at any time. At this point, what I'm thinking is that at some point when I'm feeling more confident, I'll go back and I'll start the whole course again.
Okay. Well, at this stage, you won't be getting the very special laminated certificate.
I actually don't deserve it. I don't want it. So please go on to someone more worthy.
We actually don't have one. Caroline?
Caroline, you're awesome.
Good stuff. Yeah, Jess, since you're unmuted, could you go next, please?
Okay. Oh. Right.
You've got the same problem as Vanessa. Your ukulele's getting lost in the fog. That's right. Yep. Right. Okay, so I heard a bit of Sunny Moon for 2 there, but I also heard a bit of Egyptian reggae, I think. No, not quite. I needed to go for another note. So you already had a Sunny Moon for 2 phrase in that. Like, were you doing that intentionally or not?
No, I was going for Smoke on the Water.
That's true. You're right. You're right. You're right. But all of those things inform each other. So all of those phrases, what you come up with to do, there's nothing original on the face of the earth, that I didn't hear. Now, isn't that funny? I didn't hear Smoke on the Water. I heard Sunny Moon for Two, or I heard Egyptian reggae. So, let people make their own conclusions and then drift off from that. So being constrained by the three notes allows you to focus on the quality of the note that you're playing, and how can you because you've got pitch, you've got the tone that you're making, and you've got rhythm. There's more. What is that called when you go 1 times 2 times 3? You've got 3 notes. So that equals 6, doesn't it? 1 times 2 times 3. There's 6 possible combinations, but it's not. It's more than that because.
Factorial.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. There's more combinations because. What was that, Jess?
I said, like everything else tonight, it was not coming to me.
Yeah, no, it's fine. You've got many more combinations than just six possible combinations of those notes, sequence of those notes. There's tone, and there's rhythm, and there's leaving it out, and yeah. Okay, thanks, Jess. Jen, do you want to go next, please?
Okay.
Great. That's good. Thank you, Jen. I can get that, and I can get what rhythm that you were going for. Phoebe, are you going to do this to everybody? Have a quick go, Phoebes.
I haven't done any homework.
No, that's all right. There's no homework here. Great. Okay, I can get that you understand that. So, yeah, that's and also.
Certificates coming your way.
Mark and John, we're just still tinkering in Jane's room, so don't suck us back in here yet, please.
Too late.
Oh no.
John's already pressed the break. Stop the breakout rooms.
Stop no.
It's an irreversible. Once John clicks that button, it's irreversible.
Oh, well, sorry everybody. I didn't realize you were still tinkering. My group were very nice and efficient. We got through everything quickly.
So Phoebe, I've lost you. Where are you, Phoebe? Oh, there you are.
I didn't get to 2 people.
I know. Well,
Okay, we're just going to not worry about that?
Yeah.
Okay, righto. Okay.
There's 2 people who... I'm going to remove you, Jane.
Yeah, please, would you? I'm going to
I won't report you to Zoom, though.
I'm going to leave the meeting.
So, Phoebe, you held off. You just did 2 notes, and then you went for the 3rd note a bit later, which I thought was good. So, every single comment that I made... it's like when we comment on Facebook. I want you to know what you that the comments are meant for general consumption as well. Were there 2 people who feel completely slighted that they didn't have?
Sonia and Kathy saw it.
Sonia and Kathy saw it. It's okay.
I'm sure they don't feel that slighted.
And Kath, you're okay, are you? All right.
They are peachy.
All right, both Kathy and Sonia, you have dedicated solos allocated Saturday week at the Carrington Bolo.
Yeah.
Oh man. One really cool thing we talked about in our group that I probably should have mentioned earlier, but it only just really occurred to me again. I noticed, like you were saying, Mark, that people tended to hold off at the start so that they had somewhere to go later on. And that's actually a really good point and a really good thing to do with almost any solo. I liken it to taking your solo on a journey in a sense. You want to start small and with not much, rhythmically or note-wise, so that you have somewhere really big and fancy to go at the end of it.
That's great. That's really good. And the example that I put in the improvisation group of Wake Up by the Wellington International Ukulele Orchestra, and with James Hill as the soloist, you can hear James right from the beginning of the song, and where he's just adding in little snippets, and then it's like the riff he does that he probably just came up with becomes a motif during the song, but then at the end he's just completely screaming off into the wilderness, but really taking off from those points that he's built at the beginning. Yeah.
It's really cool. Like, I mean, a good story does develop what it's already got, and so if you introduce the ideas early on and then take them and reuse them in a different way, or in a fancier way, or you play it faster or louder or higher in the range of the uke, you can really do a lot with not very much. And James's solo, I thought, was a really good example of lots of great soloistic ideas. He does these great repeating rhythms where it goes like, I don't know, it's like digga 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 digga, it sort of meshes over the bar, but it's repeating over and over this same idea, but it's slightly different each time.
And there's a pleasure for me. There's an oral pleasure in, even if it's something simple, in hearing it repeated. If I hear something nice, I go, oh, I'd like to hear that nice thing again. It just might be a simple thing, but with James, you go, did he really do that? He did. He did it again. He did exactly the same
Oh my
thing
god,
again.
I heard that before. It's like a sense of really quick nostalgia.
I remember that. Yeah.
I remember that
1.5 seconds ago.
The song. Oh dear. So yeah, did you guys find that kind of beneficial? Like, I think it's a nice way to practice, is like to restrict yourself in some way, take notes out of the equation, and it really forces something else to be your focus. So did you guys generally find that kind of useful?
One of the good things I learnt was Jane said that, when I stuffed up a note and played the wrong note, she said to just do a little chromatic run. I thought it was really useful.
Totally. Chromatic runs are great. The other thing I mentioned is, if you're using your expressive techniques, you can sort of cheat other notes out of it by bending. Like I was Susie did a really interesting group of 3 notes. She did these 3, and I was like, oh wow, that's going to be interesting. And I sort of thought about it and was like, well, if I was doing that, I'd do lots of sliding and hammer-ons, but I'd also probably bend a little bit so that I can get a little sneaky extra note in there. And that's kind of a helpful little thing you can do that kind of forces you to do more, bending as well. It all leads back into practice.
On Jane's advice, I remember two little rules of soloing. Is that one, if you play the wrong note, you're only ever a semitone away from the right note, or a right note. So that's that sort of chromatic run thing. And another thing is, if you play the wrong note but you play it 3 times, then it's the right note anyhow.
That's right.
Or if you hold it long enough, then it will become the right note. Obviously, that's not always true, and it's simplistic, but
the saying is, repetition legitimizes, repetition legitimizes, repetition legitimizes.
That's so funny. I love it.
Yeah, repeating stuff is great. You can hear it, right? It sounds right just because I repeated it.
Yeah. So, John, the 3-note blues practice, the notation stuff, where is that from? Is that in improv too?
That's from Sandy.
Is that?
Yeah, we do that in improv too. I didn't want to do it today because it's worth taking a look over first, I think. And really, I wanted you guys to come up with some ideas. But Sam's thing is great because, yeah, it'll give you a couple of ideas just surrounding 3 notes and how you can put those together in so many different ways. And some of it is syncopated, some of it's not so much. There's lots of different rhythms he does. But yeah, it's all just around those 3. So yeah, it's really quite useful.
So John, were you going to? We should sort of start winding up. Are you going to review the rock and roll improv using the blues scale? Did you want to do that?
Oh, look, we can do a quick one. There's not much else to say with rock and roll, I think, except that you kind of just need to practice it. If you want to do rock and roll solos, listen to rock and roll solos and try and emulate it. I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but rock and roll sometimes benefits from adding extra notes into the scale. I can't remember if I said that before, but whenever I solo on rock and roll, I like to use the blues scale. But sometimes I like to throw in the the major third. So instead of an E flat, I might play an E. So it'll be like, and that's quite a nice thing. And you can also throw in the natural 6. And that's a really useful thing to do too. So I guess there's a couple of other things, but really it's about finding some fancy fast techniques you can play. That little slidey thing is a great motif. Doing stuff like that where you do like a pull off in little groups of 3. Yeah, really, it's just, this is totally a repertoire thing where you get enough ideas that fancy fast ideas that you can make a rock and roll solo out of it. So,
but you've got to have fast enough fingers, and those finger drills that you showed are really excellent for that.
Totally. Do the finger drills and practice your scales. So much of it is practice, and then again, so much of it is just trying it and and feeling it. So you do what you can, and then as you get better, you'll be able to do more. That's the rule, I guess. Did you want to play a rock and roll song, or because we're just going to finish up basically with some blues improvisation? So I really just gauge it off how you guys are feeling. You want to do? Who wants to do rock and roll? Couple. Okay, I think we might be gunning for blues. Who wants blues? Yeah, I think blues might be the winner here. And fair enough too. It's so cruisy and it's a lot more relaxing in a lot of ways. And we've probably got time for 2, so let's do one in C and one in D. We'll mess around on the C blues scale, and then we'll do some D blues. And
you don't want to do it in a weird key like E, so people are forced to go to figure out where it is.
We'll do one in E. How about, let's start with the weird key, and then we'll make everyone satisfied with a nice key at the end. I'll get you to solo in F sharp blues.
Ooh, nice.
Don't freak out.
Where is that? So where is that, people? It's the 6th fret by the looks of the fingers.
And you guys have already played an F sharp minor pentatonic today. You just have to add in one extra note now.
So it's the 6th fret, and it's the 6th fret because the starting note is an F sharp, and the F sharp is on the C string at the 6th fret.
And then you just follow the blues pattern. It's the same for every single shape because the scale shapes on uke are movable.
So what are the finger numbers for that?
You go 1, 4, very
4,
good.
2.
The next string is 2, 3,
4. Good, Phoebes. I'm watching you. 2, 4.
So I was watching Phoebe too. And then 2, 4. All right. You ready, everybody? I don't know if I'm ready. How do I play F sharp blues again? See, for me, I have to think about the backing, and this is where the circle of fifths comes in handy, because it's always 1, 4, and 5. So I just need to think about what's next to it on either side. I've got the F sharp as my 1. I know C sharp is my 5, and so that must mean that I've got a B as my 4, because you can see that they're all right next to each other on the circle of fifths. All right, here we go, everybody. F sharp blues. 1, 2, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time around. Nice work, everybody. How'd you find the F sharp blues? Did it work out okay? I would hope so, because you know it's all the same shape, Just
That's great, Jen. You understood it. Like you were that you were confused before, so now you're not. That's excellent. Well done.
Yeah, awesome. That's really good. Yeah, awesome. Nice work, everybody. Are there any final questions? Basically, because this is pretty much the end of the course. We've got we'll do.
Is there
one
homework,
more.
John?
There is.
Jane said to expect about 3 people to put their homework in, but that means like 15 people won't get their special laminated certificate that actually doesn't exist.
Well, what am I going to do without my imaginary special laminated certificate?
I need to introduce you guys to digital badging, and you can micro-credential what you're doing.
Ooh.
Digital badging. We'll talk to you later, Pip.
What
I know how to do that. I'm just going to make my own.
Perfect.
We encourage that, actually. Yeah, everybody, please make your own. The best one wins a prize of a laminated certificate.
The most believable certificate gets another certificate. Okay, so the homework, if you choose to do it this week, you don't have to, but obviously we'll we'll review it and give you some feedback. You want to record yourself doing an improv on a diatonic song and use both the major pentatonic and the relative minor pentatonic. So the first thing we did today, you want to have a go at getting between those two scales. And there's we've got 3 of them on there. I'm on Fire, Sea of Heartbreak, and Homecoming Queen all are good for that one, because they're up high enough where it's pretty easy.
Hey, John, I tried to download the Sea of Heartbreak, the music part, and it wouldn't download. Is anyone else having that problem?
The PDF, does she mean?
The PDF.
You mean the PDF? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like the chords that we usually get.
Let me just check that right now.
Thank you.
No, it seems okay to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it works for me too.
I wonder what I'm doing. I tried it 3 times.
Maybe your computer is out of tune, Deirdre, like your guitar.
It's now been tuned.
Success.
It's a brand new computer. It's 2 weeks old.
God.
And I downloaded the other two, but not that one. I don't know. It's weird. Okay, don't worry about it.
Okay.
You can always find it on like our stores of music online anyway. If you go to like the private music place, then you can find it there.
Everybody knows where that is, don't they? Presumably.
Try clicking on the link from somewhere else or using a different browser, maybe.
That's true. There's so many things to try, but yeah, different browser is good. And Vanessa's just posted another download link to it, so you can try that as well. See if it works from the chat.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Any questions about the course? Anything before we do our final solo together?
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. That was great.
Great. That's really good.
Improv 2? You want to give a plug?
Yeah.
Certainly. If people want to do Improv 2, I'm not sure when we're doing it next, but you know, there's so many of you guys that I expect it'll be not too far away. If there's enough interest, you know, just we'll send out a thing about it probably, or you can send me a message and just say like, hey, I'm interested for that, and we'll write you down, and
thanks, Coxie.
You'll be all part of it next time we run it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
we will do that. We'll have to do that soon.
That's right.
But we're just trying to cope with the end of COVID at the moment.
And in very big quotations.
With Hunter, New England having 15% of the state's cases today.
Was it 15%? I never did the maths today.
Yeah.
Alita, you're in for a bass. I think Vanessa's asked for bass, and somebody else has asked for. Chris Wensrich asked for bass as well.
There you go. It might be time to rejig the bass course again.
Yeah. Once a year.
To see, we could probably stand to do a smaller group for that, anyways.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do a final solo, everybody. If everyone's keen to. Shall we say?
Everybody could just be unmuted to do it.
Mark, that sounds like a horrible idea.
Okay. All right. Don't do it.
All right. So we'll go with. Shall we say? We'll do D blues. So let's do Crescent City. I reckon that's a good one to go for. All right, let me stream that for you. Share that. Crescent City, D blues. Have fun. Use all your techniques. Use everything you've learned. Have fun.
1, 2, 3. I hear that train a coming. It's rolling round the bend. And I ain't been kissed, Lord, since I don't know when. The boys in Crescent City don't seem to know I'm here. And that lonesome whistle seems to tell me I'll soon disappear. When I was just a baby, my mama told me, Sue, when you're grown up, I want that you should go and see and do. But I'm stuck in Crescent City, just watching life mosey by. When I hear that whistle blowing, I hang my head and I cry. Solo, I reckon. Yeah, I think so too. I see those rich folk in their fancy dining car. They're probably having pheasant breast and eastern caviar. Now I ain't crying in me, and I ain't crying me.
It's just that they get to see things that I never did see.
If I hold that lonesome whistle, if that railroad train was mine, I bet I'd find a man a little farther down the line, far from Crescent City. It's where I'd like to stay. And I'd let that lonesome whistle blow my blues away. And I'd let that lonesome whistle blow my blues away.
Thanks very much, everybody. I hope you all had a very good time with the course. And yeah, I hope I see you back for Improv 2 potentially. I hope you learned a lot as well. That's probably the main thing. Hope you gained some value from.
And we will see many of you in the flesh soon, hopefully.
True that. That's a bit exciting.
Yeah, masked, of course, but no kisses, no hugs.
No little kiss.
And we're looking forward to the we're very much looking forward to the laminated certificate competition.
Yes, you'll be all over that, wouldn't you, being a primary teacher?
Absolutely.
Bring your laminator, would you? And we can all have a go.
Can I borrow your laminator to make the best laminated certificate?
Thank you so much, guys. It's been great. It's been heaps of fun.